can build ourselves how we want Allah to witness us. When you build a wall, you choose what are those bricks you're going to use, how are you going to put them, how are you going to make them, and in your decision making you can create either the most strong and stable wall or the weakest and the most transparent. Think of this metaphor. My ilm and amal are fluid, and I can use them for whatever identity I want. I can be muttaqi, I can be mu'min, I can be mutma'in, I can be kafir, I can be munafiq, I can be fasiq. I choose how Quran addresses me. Okay. One of the most disliked things therefore in Islam is when you say something and you don't believe it. You have ilm of something, but your amal don't prove your ilm. This is one of the worst things we can have. The best thing is someone whose words and actions match each other with their ilm, okay? Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, when in Nahj Balagha, in one of the narrations, he's discussing a brother he once had. Kana li fima akhun fillah, he says. I once had a brother in faith. And he goes through many good qualities of this ideal believer he once had. And then he says about this brother, Kana yaqulu ma yaf'al wa ma yaqulu ma la yaf'al. He would only say what he would do, and he would not say anything which he would not do. That's how I remember my dear brother, he says. Anything he wanted, anything he said, he would do. And anything he wouldn't say, he wouldn't do. Honesty. The Quran reprimands us when our ilm and amal are not together. This is a very important point, and it's very closely linked to Abu Abdullah. Muhammad. The Quran, Bismillah, this is the beginning of Surah Saf. Sabbaha lillahi ma fi samawati wa ma fil ard wa huwa al-azizul hakim. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, O people of iman and belief. Lima taquluna ma la taf'alun. Why do you say something which you don't do? Khabaru maqtan 'inda Allah an taqulu ma la taf'alun. This is the most disliked thing by God, that you say something and you don't do that thing. Why? You have ilm of something, but your a'mal don't prove the ilm that you have. Karbala happens in many ways because of this issue. A scholar I remember was mentioning this point, that if you think about it, when Imam al-Hussein is traveling and sees Farazdaq on the journey, Farazdaq the Shair, and he says to him, people of Kufa, what do they think of me and my movement? And he's told, Ya Abu Abdullah, their hearts are with you, but their swords are against you. Meaning what? They have ilm of you, they know you, they understand your level, but their a'mal are against you. Ilm with you, swords against you. This is the same issue throughout Karbala. Some people had ilm of Hussein. They knew exactly who he is and his ma'rifat. They are rawi of Ghadir and Mubahila. But when the time came, they did not fight with him. Their a'mal did not match their ilm of Abu Abdullah. Then there are those people on Karbala fighting Abu Abdullah. They prayed, they fasted, they did all of the ahkam, the rules which you would do, but they were not doing those with the ilm of who the imam of their time is. The ilm and amal were not matched together. Karbala is a battle between those whose ilm matches their a'mal and those whose ilm do not match their a'mal. Our identity is based on this decision. Will I make sure what I know matches my behavior? Or will I live such a life I might say the most amazing things and attend the most amazing majalis, and well, maybe you are right now, I don't know, and listen to the most amazing ilm, but my actions won't prove the quality of my iman. I want to give you one example of someone who goes through a journey of taking his ilm and a'mal from the lowest place to the highest place, and that's the example of Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi bin Salawat al-Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Many people think that Hur changes his whole life when? In one night, yeah? One night, Yazid armies to Imam Hussein's army. But the truth is, that one moment is a culmination of a series of experiences Hur goes through. Going through the books of Maqatil, Hur encounters Abu Abdullah at least 8 times in his life. From the first to the last, there is some change and tabdeel and islah in him. And on the night of Ashura, all we're seeing is a culmination of a man gaining better a'mal than he had before. Let me now for you go through quickly those 8 times when Hussein encounters Hur and how one man's whole life changes in 8 moments. In the books of Maqatil, the first time that I have found when they encounter one another is in the land of Sharaf. Sharaf is on the way to Karbala and to Kufa. It's in Iraq, but it's a straight load, so it's not hitting any of them yet. Imam al-Hussein is walking alongside Furat with all of his companions, alongside Furat. They say in the distance, he says, I can see palm trees in front of me. I say, Ya Abu Abdullah, there are no palm trees. He goes, no, you don't understand. You'll see what I mean later. For what he had seen were the lances on the army of Hur, which were hunting them down on the road. Hur has left with 1,000 soldiers out of a 4,000 legion headed by Hussein bin Numair. And he's only got 1,000 of them. Imam Hussein sees Hur approaching from the distance. So he goes back to Furat and says, let's gather more water than we needed originally. Where's this? At Sharaf. Because he stops and gathers water, the distance between Hur and Abu Abdullah's camp lessens. Okay. So now that was in Fajr time. The second time they encounter one another from near or far is in the afternoon of the same day. Imam Hussein reaches a land called Dhu Hassam. In that land, Hur reaches Abu Abdullah. From morning till afternoon, he's chasing him. When he reaches him, he's thirsty. His army is thirsty. Abu Abdullah then takes the water he had just gathered a moment ago in the morning and feeds all of his army in that afternoon. The narrations tell us he fed all of the army and all of their horses as well. One hadith says that each horse drank at least 4 to 5 gulps from the water that was given on that day. Another narration says they were even spraying what was excess water on top of the horses. One companion, Ali bin Ta'an al-Muharibi says, I came late. I was at the end of the army. By the time I got there, all the water had been drunk by everyone, and I was scared or worried there was none left for me. Then I saw Hussein himself came to me and fed me water with his hands for me to drink. Everyone drinks water. What's this? Dhu Hassam. Then the time comes for namaz for dhuhr. So Imam Hussein tells Hajjaj bin Masruq to do adhan. Ali Akbar does not read adhan at this point. Ali Akbar only reads adhan of the morning of Ashura, not before. Because Imam wants to show them the one who is most like Rasulullah is with me, not with you. And the eyes of the world are watching on Ashura. Okay, Hajjaj does adhan. Hur comes to Abu Abdullah. Imam Hussein says, Ya Hur, I will lead my followers. Will you lead your followers or not? Hur says, Ya Abu Abdullah, how can I lead them when you are here to lead us in prayer? In that moment, there's one row of all the men praying at Abu Abdullah, and all of Hur's 1,000 army pray behind Abu Abdullah. Okay. Now, what I want to be thinking about is look at how Hur is changing over time. He's observing all of this. Dhuhr comes, Dhuhr passes. They stay in Dhu Hassam. Hur goes to his tent. By Asr time, they've got to pray again because they prayed it separately. Again, Abu Abdullah prays. This time, he gives a khutbah after Salat. And all the army who are praying are now watching the khutbah. Imam says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We are Ahl al-Bayt. You know our maqam. Ask yourselves, he says to them, who is more worthy of Khilafat, us or Banu Umayyah? Then he says, all of you sent us letters to go to Kufa. Why are you now opposing us? At that time, Hur stood up. When? The second time he met him and said, Ya Abu Abdullah, what letters? I don't know about any letters which were sent. So Imam Hussein sends Sa'd bin Amri to come, and he brings with him 2 saddles full of letters saying, Ya Hur, look at all these letters you have sent to us. Each one telling us, Hussein, come to Kufa, come to Kufa. And now I have heard news, Muslim bin Aqil has been killed in the same Kufa. He actually says, my life there is no happiness left in my life after they were killed. And you call me to Kufa? Hur listens to this answer and says, I didn't know about these letters. Then the narrations tell us, Imam Hussein gets back on his horse and gathers all his companions to continue riding towards their destination. Hur says, Ya Abu Abdullah, I cannot let you go any further. It's only now when Hussein says, Ya Hur, may your mother mourn over you. And it's only now when Hur says, if any other Arab said this to me, I would answer them. But your mother's Fatima Zahra, what can I say towards her? Hur says, Ya Abda, I have orders. I cannot let you go back to Medina. I can't let you. And if you want to go to Kufa, you can go straight, and go north. And I won't stop you, but I will stay with you. Then Mom says, it's fine, no problem. He goes north. Then Hur says, by the way, if you deviate from this path, I will kill you, and I will kill your whole family and your supporters. Abu Abdullah then turns to Hur, where Dhul Hassam, and says to him, do you think your words of death frighten us when we are the ones who welcome death in our wirasat? How can you frighten us? He quotes some poetry about those people and says, Ya Hur, for us as believers, going towards death is fleeing from disgrace, whereas for you who oppose us, your whole life is disgrace. Hur hears this and he keeps traveling with him. The third time Hur encountered Abu Abdullah is on the next stop at Bayda, which is one step closer to Karbala. Okay. Hur's army of 1,000 has been following Abu Abdullah directly behind it. But they're still going along Furat. So Imam Hussein stops and gathers water. Knowing Hur is listening, he gives another khutbah. And Abu Abdullah then says, all those who are listening to my voice, if there is a leader like our leader today, who treats halal like it's haram, and haram like it's halal, all those who are quiet are part of the same punishment of that tyrant. Halal, haram, haram, no difference to him. If you're quiet, you're part of it. Hur's listening and doesn't answer. Do you see now what process he's going through, absorbing all of these experiences? Look at this Imam who's telling me haqq and batil, and I should remain quiet. The fourth time Hur meets Abu Abdullah is later on the journey called a place called Udhabat the Jinat. At this place, while they're going towards Karbala, 4 horsemen have come from Kufa to Karbala, to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and they come towards him. Among them, they have with them the horse of Nafi bin Halal, and they are supporters of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Hur says, Ya Abu Abdullah, I cannot let anyone join you who might be a threat to Ibn Ziyad. So I can't allow these 4 horsemen to join your camp. Imam Hussein says, Hur, these are my supporters, and I will defend my lovers and supporters the way I defend my own self. So now stop me. Hur is silent when he hears this and doesn't stop them. They continue their journey. Do you see how he's learning how a leader bil haqq acts? They keep going. The 5th time Hur encounters Abu Abdullah is in Karbala itself. 2nd or 3rd Karbala, they reach Karbala. Hur receives a letter from a traveler from Kufa, from Ibn Ziyad, saying, Hur, you have been ordered by Ibn Ziyad, stop Hussein in the most uncomfortable and difficult and arable place. Where are they? Outside Karbala. Hur says, Ya Abu Abdullah, I've been ordered to stop you right here. Hussein says, can we go just a little step further? And they go towards what's now known as the Khaymaga, and they stop there. At that time, Zuhair bin Qayn says, Ya Abu Abdullah, why don't we attack Hur now? He's got 1,000. Okay, we're 72. But 72 sons of Haydar can defeat 1,000 sons of Yazid easily. So let's defeat them now. But Imam says, no, I will not be the one to begin this fight. Then they set their camp. Hur goes back to his camp. Abu Abdullah goes to his camp. The 6th time Hur encounters Abu Abdullah is on the 9th night of Moharram. The 9th night. He's in his camp. He's reflecting on all of these experiences he's gone through. All of them. He gave me water. He even reflects on how all those letters were sent for him. He's thinking of these things. Hur goes to Umar ibn Sa'ad and says, Ya Umar ibn Sa'ad, is it true tomorrow there's going to be an actual battle? Yeah, and he doesn't believe they're going to actually fight the son of Zahra. He says, yes, there will be a battle tomorrow. Hur goes back and is conflicted. You find then he's looking for excuses to join Imam Hussein alayhi salam quickly. In the books of Maqtal you find, for example, he says to one of his companions, can I take your horse towards Furat to water it? Furat is nearer to the camp of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Can I take your horse please? In the books it's written, the man says, why is Khur asking me, the commander, asking me, a normal soldier, to water his horse? Maybe Khur wants to leave. Okay. Then Khur gets on his horse, the narration says, and he just starts riding a little bit outside his camp. One of the soldiers on patrol sees him and says, Ya Khur, is it time for the battle already? Are you leading us? Now it's when Khur says, when he hears this line, are you going to attack Abu Abdullah? He says, Inni akhayru nafsi bayn al-janni wal nar. I see myself right now between heaven and hell. Now I see myself. My whole life has led me to this one moment. All of the a'mal, all of the ilm, to this moment. Which one will I choose, heaven or hell? And he says, Hayhat, how can I choose hell when Hussein beckons me towards heaven? He leaves on the 9th night to go towards Abu Hussein alayhi salam. Some say he goes with his son, some say he goes with some soldiers, but he goes to Abu Abdullah. And all of you know what happens next. Let's have the lights off inshallah. All of you know what happens next. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam is waiting for Khur. Khur goes down on his knees and crawls to Abu Abdullah. One hadith says Khur covers his face so Hussein can't see who's coming. And as you know, Khur says, Ya Abu Abdullah, do you forgive me for what I have done against you? I have turned back to you. And Hussein says, Khur, I have been waiting for you. All those 8 encounters, I've been waiting for you to come towards me. Come towards me. No one who comes to this door is turned away. The 7th occasion when Khur sees Abu Abdullah is on the morning of Ashura. When all the companions are giving a speech, they say, Khur says, Ya Abu Abdullah, can I give a speech as well to those enemies? He says, yes. And by the way, Khur, your mother named you well. You are a free man in dunya and akhirah. Khur goes to the front of the camp. Listen to me for what he says. He says, listen to me, I am Khur. He says, do you know right now who is the most gharib person behind me? It's Abu Abdullah. You have called him with your letters and your support, and now why have you left him alone in his camp? And then he says, we are the same ones who deprived him of water. Do you know how thirsty Hussein is right now? Khur says these words, reflecting on how much difficulty he has done. Let every gunahgar listen to these words. No matter how far you go away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Hussein will always welcome you back with open arms. Khur says, we have left the son of Zahra, the most gharib of all the people right now. And we who have water have left him, his daughters, his sisters, the most thirsty of all of them. Then they say, Khur goes and fights bravely alongside Suhair bin Qayn in the morning of Ashura. He's fighting and says, I am the one whose mother named him Khur. I am the free one. Let anyone come and fight me. He fights. They say while he's fighting, one rod hits Khur and he falls to the ground and says, Assalamu alayka ya Abu Abdullah. The 8th and final time Khur sees Hussein is when Hussein is holding Khur's head on his lap. Khur looks up and sees, this is the face of Abu Abdullah. The narration says, while he's looking, they say Khur's neck is bleeding. So Abu Abdullah takes a handkerchief from him and wraps it on his neck. When he wraps it on his neck, it's from the one touch of Abu Abdullah, Khur's soul leaves his body. Ya Zadar, many years later, the riwayah tells us that the body of Khur in his grave has been flooded and they have to exhume the body many years after Ashura. So they go to the body and they find what? Number one, the body of Khur has been preserved like it's a fresh body. Why? This man died for Abu Abdullah. Then they say, why is there a cloth on his neck? So many years later, they tried to remove the cloth. When they removed the cloth, fresh blood flows from the body of Khur. So they say, what is this karamat? That years after a battle, who are these shuhada? That blood still flows from their body. They go to an alim and say, Ya alim, what's happening here? He says, on the day of Ashura, Imam Hussein takes the handkerchief. Which handkerchief? His mother Zahra gave him this handkerchief. Because Zahra touched this cloth, blood still flows from the neck of Khur bin Yazid al-Riyahi. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, ridwan wa qada'i wa taslim bi amri. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. For the sake of the change of hur, let everyone here in this majalis who has sins they need forgiven, let all those sins be forgiven. Ya Allah, those of us who don't have Moharram and don't have it all of the time, we go to very dark places during the year and make many mistakes. Ya Allah, for the sake of hur and His forgiveness, forgive all those people who want our way back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah, Hur fought for Abu Abdullah, let us fight for our Imam, Ya Allah. And finally, all of the tears you have shed, let all of them be the forgiveness of the sins of us, our parents and our family, inshaAllah. Allahumma inni salaka bihaqi Fatimata wa biha ba'al yabniha wa sirr al-musta'awdu fiha an tusalli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.